And two, being very savvy in business, what I've learned is also it's not about how. You'll ask yourself, how do I get this done? How do I accomplish this? It's who. And when you add the same amount of value at minimum that you request of someone else in your network, then they can help you solve your problems and you don't have to come up with them all on your own.
That is very
Seriously.
true.
And we don't do that often enough, especially in our community, in the Black community. I'm going to speak on it and be frank because we have this mentality of thinking that there's so much competition that we can't coexist.
Hi, my name is Micah Barbie, and I'm excited to announce my new podcast, Be Well and Exhale. On this podcast, we'll discuss lifestyle topics, entrepreneurship, and of course, wellness. Each episode will feature impactful guests who share their experiences in pursuit of success and wellness. So, get ready to be well and exhale with me. You can find us everywhere podcasts are available.
Hi, my name is Micah Barbie, and I am the host of Be Well and Exhale, and welcome to our second episode. We have Dr. Aqeila Shepherd, owner of the Lux Concierge Physical Medicine, and located in Durham, North Carolina.
Yep, Carrie.
So excited to have you.
Thank you.
I am so excited to have you on today. And I just want to talk about how I even met you, how this came apart. So I love how everything connects with us. Be Well and Exhale, of course, was the wellness pop-up that we did in Durham, North Carolina at the Living Room Social Lounge. And Aqeila was one of our vendors. So it was so unique. And I think that you are really someone who captured everyone, and because you had the chiropractic services and you were actually doing, what were you doing? Because I know it was like something very like unique.
What was I doing? I think I was doing laser treatments.
Okay.
So anti-inflammatory regenerative laser treatments. And we did some trivia.
Oh, no. And you also did like some type of sound therapy too.
Oh, I did. See, I forgot about that
That
too.
was cool because that was the only thing I actually had time to do.
How long ago was this?
It was only 2 years.
Oh God.
I know. Life is just, when life just,
be life in.
Yeah. Everything feels like it was 30 years ago.
It really does.
So yeah, I'm so excited to have you on. And I think it's a great follow-up from our first episode with Jalissa.
Yes.
We both hosted that together and you were there. So I love your energy. I love your vibe. I love your spirit. And I'm just super curious about you. Like, I'm not going to lie. Like when I first met you, I'm like, she's different. Like in a unicorn way. Like the way you talk was different. I'm like, wait, why is she talking so happy? I'm just not used to that, so and especially like, and we'll dive deeper into it, but just like women in medicine, and then even Black women in medicine, I feel like you kind of have like, they have like this stoic vibe about them, and yours was so just like, free spirit, angelic. And I was just like, I need to know more. Why is she so positive? Like, why is she so positive? So yeah, so I'm super excited to hop in, get to know you more, and ask some questions about how you got to where you are, and just letting the people know what you do. So I will stop talking and I will let you introduce yourself.
Excited. Yes. So Dr. Aqeila Shepherd again to everyone. I'm the owner of the Lux Concierge Physical Medicine and the Executive Vice President of Recruitment for Black Doctors USA and Black Doctors International. It's really fun.
Wow, that is like really cool.
Thank
you. International, like what countries are we in?
Yeah, so right now I think we have a provider in Australia, and I just structured a new partnership with a concierge practice in Accra, Ghana.
Nice.
So yeah,
Accra,
we're moving on.
I've never heard of that.
Oh gosh,
it sounds really pretty, and like they have really good food too.
It's on like the west coast of Africa. There's always good food.
Okay, cool. So can you explain what you do with your business? Yes. And when did it start?
Yes. So let's see. I started in 2019, August 27th. I still remember the date. And with my business, what I do is I work with patients on basically helping them to understand their body, right? To understand health from a different perspective. And starting with the physical medicine part, not just chiropractic like we would think in a traditional aspect, but really helping people to understand how their body works. So how do the muscles and the joints and everything play together? And then not just looking at it from an injury or pain perspective, optimizing, saying, okay, maybe nothing's wrong. We want to keep something from continuing to be wrong. So let's do things this way. So it's not just about the patient in the moment, but it's also aftercare and the follow-up and what you do based on a lifestyle, not problem-based.
Right. That's pretty cool, because when I think of chiropractic services, because we're actually located in the chiropractic office, I think of cracking the neck, adjustments, all these different things. So I feel like you are doing it in a different way. So it's just almost comparable to nursing. People think nursing hospital, but it's like nursing can be aesthetics, nursing can be insurance, nursing can be consulting in so many different aspects. So I really love to hear other careers in the healthcare industry have this diversity about them. So my next question is, who are you? Like, where are you from? Because like how? Where?
You want the whole full story?
I would like not even.
How much time do we have?
I know we don't have a lot of time, but I want to know, like, just I know you are an alumni of NCCU.
Indeed.
Okay. Well, let me go back. We were connected through Dr. Bowman, Discovery Chiropractor here in Charlotte, and so I love the network of how we went to a smaller school, smaller HBCU, and people think like, oh, you're not gonna meet people from here, but like the connections have been so real and so imperative in the elevation of, I feel like, our careers, and people really sleep on that. So I know you went to Central, but where are you from?
So I am from, I say North Carolina in general, so like the quick version of it is I was born at Fort Bragg. So my dad was in the military, Army 21 years, then left and moved from there down to Fort Benning, Georgia. Was there until I was maybe like 3. And then after that, I moved to Greensboro, North Carolina, moved from there to a small eastern town to a small town in eastern North Carolina. And then I moved from there back to Greensboro, from Greensboro to Garner.
Wow.
Yeah, I know, right? That's what I'm like, this is the short version.
I was like, this is the short version.
This is the short version. Like, not tell you like all the lies in between.
Yeah.
And then I graduated from Garner High. Started out at East Carolina University, then transferred to Central my junior year, finished up there, and then the rest is history.
Okay, nice. So what made you want to become a doctor of chiropractor? And I want to also, could you also explain what is the difference between just being a chiropractor and a doctor of chiropractor?
Yes. So it's crazily enough, what do I want to say? The terms are interchangeable. So some people will just say a chiropractor, others will say a doctor of chiropractic. They're all doctors. It's a physician across the board, more like entry level. I don't think a lot of people know that either. So you do your 4 years. I think honestly, it's the same as the traditional medical curriculum, with the exception that we don't do pharmacology. We do toxicology instead because we don't prescribe, right? One of the other nuances is I think we do more hours in anatomy and physiology because, again, because we don't prescribe, we got to really know what's going on from that physiological perspective. What else would I say? I think it's really just about what you decide to do with it after that. So you do your 4 years, you do your clinicals, and a lot of chiropractors go into private practice versus going to like a hospital system or something like that. But that would be really the biggest difference in that differentiation between, okay, what is a doctor of chiropractic or a chiropractic physician? It's all semantics.
Cool. No, that makes sense, because I think a lot of people don't really understand like what you can and cannot do. My next question is, what made you want to get into being a chiropractor?
Yes, so trying to figure out the short version to this story too. Let's see. I was at UNC Med School's summer internship program.
Oh my gosh, what was it called?
MED. It was.
I did SCP.
Shut up!
Yeah.
Oh my god! So that is insane. Wow. You guys are not how ironic.
I know. Like, I wish we could break down what it. Well, I think in summary for me, and that's kind of why I chose to be a nurse, because I thought I wanted to be a pediatrician. But I did SCP at UNC over the summer, going into my sophomore year, and it showed me all the different fields of like healthcare that I could get into, and I had opportunity to shadow pediatricians, pharmacists, all these things, and what I thought I wanted to do when I saw what they had to do, I was just like, this is not really me. And I was gravitating more towards like the nurses and like, what are y'all doing? Like, I was in the, like shadowing, like, I actually like to do that versus, what the pediatricians were doing. So that's essentially, I think MED was more on the medical side, a little bit more advanced than SCP in a sense, but it was cool. We got those little summer stipends, right? Those checks. You don't get stipends?
I don't know if we did. I don't remember.
I'm pretty sure we got like 3,000 at the end of all of this. Was
Maybe
before COVID times. You know, they were just
Right.
giving out money and stuff.
Things were different.
But yeah, no, it was cool. I met so many amazing people. So that's cool that we were literally, I don't know if it was the same summer, but we did a similar program.
That's insane.
And that's really what led me to like know that I wanted to truly be a nurse. I always did healthcare, but I didn't know nursing. So I'm sorry.
I love that. That's okay, because that's incredible. Like, it's literally, I think, like you said, SEP is freshmen and sophomores, and I think MED is like older, like juniors and upper. So I think that's the biggest difference. So it was like 9 weeks of 1 year of med school crammed into those 9 weeks.
Oh yeah, y'all were way more stressed than us. That's why I was like, isn't that more advanced?
Stress is not the word, honey. I'm like, imagine year 1 of med school in 9 weeks. It is insane.
Yeah.
So I remember, again, let me figure out the short version of this. I remember being in that program, and when I had done a round in the ER, and this is a little before the program started, I remember the EMS called in a gentleman, black male, 55 years old, had gone into cardiac arrest. They'd shocked him with a defibrillator maybe like 3 or 4 times before he got there. Came into the ER, and of course, you know, we assemble our team for rounds of compressions, all that good stuff. You got your attending. And I remember watching the heart monitor, and I remember watching it fainter and fainter and eventually just flatline. And we tried really, really hard to save him. And at that point, you know, the attending is going to say, all right, guys, everybody go back to your stations. Thank you so much for coming to help, but it's different. And I remember in the moment, I didn't really feel anything. I was just like, okay, you know, this is what happens. It's the emergency room. You can't get attached because it's not even healthy for you.
Oh, yeah, absolutely not.
And so I remember going home, and I remember feeling kind of raw about it, Micah. I honestly was like, that was someone's father, brother, husband, friend, whoever, and he spent his last moments with us. And to us, it couldn't really mean anything. It's not that it didn't, but it couldn't. You get what I'm saying? And I didn't feel good about coming in medicine from that perspective, where I felt like I had to do things or adopt certain ideologies that didn't feel natural to me. And having to have a disregard for someone transitioning was not something that felt good to me. So from that, I said, I kind of want to do something different in medicine. So I took my personality, which is already kind of naturally a little bit of a boho hippie with an abstract side. And I said,
I love that description.
Boho
is that in your dating profile?
You're not exactly right. So, boho hippie, loves long walks on the beach. And I remember thinking, how can I combine that with professionalism? And I said, you know what? I can do medicine just like I do anything else to the beat of my own drum. I can do medicine to the beat of my own drum. And I felt like I could have more options to express myself in medicine from the chiropractic perspective versus, I don't want to say the traditional route, because I'm also wanting to bridge those conversations and show us all as different types of providers and different specialties how we're all saying the same things.
Yeah.
But ultimately, that was my why. Super long explanation.
No, that was like beautiful because for me, it's like at the end of the day, somebody has to do it, and somebody has a personality, and somebody is built for that. But you have to know your strength, because that's where, you know, the issues come with how patients are treated. Because if you don't have the heart for that type of industry, that's where neglect comes in. And so I think it's important to make sure you're aligned with what it is that you can do. Like I would say for me, I started out nursing in the hospital, pediatric cardiac step down, which I was one of those that could, honestly, we had a baby die. I mean, I could walk away, you know? And it's not that I didn't have feeling towards it, but I did know how to like kind of cut it off. But for some reason, I would get floated. Like, so later on in my nursing career, I became like more of a float nurse. When I would get floated to the oncology unit, I knew that was like a boundary for me. And that was more of a boundary from a personal standpoint, from losing my mom to breast cancer and not really understanding what she had to go through, what she experienced, and to actually see these children, you know, like literally 3-year-olds walking around with no hair, gowns, and pushing their feeding pump. Like that was hard for me. But I will say it wasn't as hard for me in the other aspects. So it's just like I think it's really important to know what it is that you are capable of.
Yes.
Right. So that is really amazing to hear. I like how our stories are overlapping.
Yeah.
Unintentionally, not really knowing. Like I said, when I reached out to you, like I'm not a stalker. Let me start there.
It's okay,
but I will say I gravitate towards certain energies and certain people. So I'm just so curious about you. Like, and not that you like post on Instagram all the time or do anything, but when you do, you have my attention. I'm like, ooh, what is she gonna say? Like, and it's just like it's weird. Because for me, I talk to so many people. Converse and relate, to a lot of people in different ways, but certain people just don't capture me. And when you do capture me, you kind of have my attention. And so that's why I was like, I got to get her here. So I wanted to ask, what is holistic regenerative medicine?
Yes, absolutely. So holistic regenerative medicine, before I even go into it, I'll walk you down like my path a little bit. How did I go from traditional chiropractic to that? So I started with, of course, traditional chiropractic, and then I moved into, I think, neurology first.
Ooh,
yeah, I've always been like a super nerd in understanding how the nervous system works because it controls everything. So to me, once you understand neurology, you understand specificity. So I started there. Then I moved from that into sports medicine. So I would be like a professionally hired physician for professional athletes, collegiate level athletes, fly out to the games and such. That was a really, really good chapter. But all of that changed when COVID hit, right? Sports became this whole up in the air concept in general. And you know what, though? I believe that that was all divinely orchestrated. I believe that there's so many moments in life that you can really pick up a different meaning if you allow yourself to see it from a positive lens and look for the opportunity in it versus feeling, oh God, what now? There's always something now. So I say that to say it went from that chapter of helping athletes to recover, understand their body, and seeing my work in motion to say, maybe if you're, I don't know, a point guard and you're shooting, we need to look at this wrist flexion, the extension of the fingers, extension of the elbow, then all these 19 muscles and such that go into the shoulder joint, all of that. And that was my pride and joy for a while.
Muscles for real?
Yeah, it's a lot.
Wow.
Yeah, this is like super important. You can do all sorts of things with this.
Look like a robot.
You're right.
Sorry. I like to make it weird sometimes.
I like that. Most freely movable joint in the whole body. So long story short, I really enjoyed seeing the body work and in motion. It was like the sports became the art. COVID hit, and then after that, it brought me to this place of saying, I want people who have access to the different things that I offer from regenerative medical technologies, really going in depth and not just be reserved for the elite. Even though I'm like, I'm better than a lot of the team physicians. I know that sounds super catty.
I mean, it is what it is.
It's an objective observation. I'm just the messenger here. But again, at least they had access to someone. What about the general public that doesn't make millions, that doesn't have the money to afford these types of treatments ongoing? And so it gave me this opportunity to say, you know what, how can I get more into the general public and have more impact and really do this in larger numbers? And again, I believe that that was divine orchestration that led me into this path of really understanding not just how the body works, but how the mind works. And then I moved into something called the psychosomatic response.
So, explain.
Yes. So essentially, to make it simple, how does the mind and the spiritual, the mental, the emotional state of the person manifest in the physical form? So, for example, if someone has high blood pressure, maybe they don't have an organically, I'm going to start that over. So, take for I don't know why I started giggling. I think I'm laughing at myself.
It's okay.
So take for example something like high blood pressure, right? High blood pressure we think is a cardiovascular issue, whereas a lot of times it may be a lifestyle, a mindset issue. Your blood pressure is high because you just lost a spouse, or your blood pressure is high because you just started a new project at work or something like that. So I look at it from that angle. So that's the psychosomatic response. And that is what led me into regenerative medicine to say, how can we look at all these different disciplines in science, biochemistry, neurology, physics, quantum physics, and different things, and create a conversation about emotional, spiritual, and mental health but make that make sense and make someone finally understand it and say, oh, that's how my body works. That's why it responds to this thing this way. And then from there, be able to make that into a layman's conversation where I'm taking this complex thought and how the body works and making it simplified for anyone to be able to understand it.
Wow.
Yeah.
No, that's really deep. So that kind of leads me into the majority of what I want to talk about, and that's
Yeah.
mindset. What
Yes.
exactly does mindset mean to you?
Ooh, mindset is everything. It is where you start, it is your foundation, it is your ground zero. Because in my quest to take over the world, um, with love and light and all the super frilly things
Yeah,
or
of
what have you,
course.
I'm such a Care Bear. Um, with that, it's the mindset because that's how I feel like I can meet other people who are what I call light workers, like you, for example. Who of us are out here really doing things that's about serving the healthy lifestyle of other people, and we want to genuinely help. For me, coming in with the mindset and say, I want you to think about health in a different way that's not just about medical and doctor visit, doctor whatever. It's really about how well you feel on a daily basis. And that to me is what mindset means. It's about understanding yourself, having extreme self awareness so that you understand what the experience of you is like. What is your experience to yourself? How do you feel when you interact with you in an interpersonal dimension? Then, what is your experience from someone else's perspective? Meaning, when I interact with you or with anyone else, I could be wrong, got to leave some room for, being incorrect. But what I always assume is that I know exactly what you're going to get from me. Meaning, when you leave me, I know what feeling I'm going to leave you with. And I know how I'm going to make your spirit, your energy just feel all around because I know what kind of energy I bring to the table.
Wow.
And all of that is through mindset and awareness. And that makes you someone that is a healer at that point because I can say, Micah, I want to pour into you today. And here's a message that I think, for whatever reason, may hit home. So I'm going to share that with you. And then when we leave each other, you say, wow, I really enjoy hanging out with Keela today. I feel more empowered. I feel more positive. That to me is
Wow. No,
mindset.
that is beautiful. And I really like that because I think, like you said, sometimes like I might, have that tendency and not really know it. So I
Mhm.
love the confidence that
Yeah.
you are kind of touching on of like, I know when I leave this room,
Mhm.
this is how I'm going to make that person feel. So I
Yeah.
think intentionality is
Yes.
really intertwined with mindset. And
Mhm.
I don't think we are intentional enough. I know I
Say it
am not.
again.
I am not intentional enough.
Mhm.
And I really like the connection as well as how you really, I know it's mind, body, soul, mind, body. Like we hear that
Mhm.
all the time, but do we really understand it? Because I'm just listening to you
Yeah.
talk. And so I'm like, okay, maybe I can sneak in a little consult because listen, my shoulder, but no, seriously, like,
Yeah.
my massage therapist, like,
Mhm.
she gets me right every time. But like,
Mhm.
for whatever reason, certain points of my life, which has been really frequently,
Mhm.
I have these peaks of stress,
Yeah.
and it's all here in my like shoulder and neck to the point where I can't move to look side to
Mm.
side. And I know obviously like the physical is something, getting a chiropractor to
Mhm.
adjust me,
Mhm.
getting a massage therapy that can fix it. But it's just like, how
Mhm.
do I like fix this internally where I'm not letting the
Mhm.
stress get there? And it seems like
Mhm.
this is something that you
Mhm.
do, like by
Yeah.
making recommendations of how to make that not to continue to happen, or to also
Mhm.
just treat it like
Mhm.
self treatment. Because I
Yes.
feel like we always like go outsource, outsource,
Mhm.
outsource,
Mhm.
but like we
Mhm.
kind of have a lot of the power and the tools.
Yes.
And it's like I know that I can't control all my stressors.
Yes.
Well, you can in a sense. It's
But
mindset.
that correct. And that's
It's
easier said
mindset,
than
but
done though,
yeah, but it's
right?
just like, you can't help that you have sometimes all these things on your plate based off of
Mhm.
your lifestyle.
Yeah.
But how do you manage? And like I said, I know we
Mhm.
have all these external resources, therapy,
Mhm.
your religious preference, life
Mhm.
coaching, all these things. But
Yeah.
how do you
Mhm.
know how to cope with it? So what would be a
Sure.
recommendation for me?
Yes, you know what? So this is about to get deep. I love it. I'm excited.
Okay, look,
So, right. Okay,
okay,
here we
I'm
go.
here. I'm listening.
So what I would say is up here when I see patients having a lot of stiffness, tenderness, aches, whatever it may be, especially if it's to the point where it's limiting your movement and you're stiff, this is one of our main emotional centers. So there's something going on in your psyche, in your life right now that is causing you high stress that's outside of work. It's more so about how you're interacting with your thoughts. So a lot of times what I see is when we have this area affected, you're carrying so much emotion in that area. And what it's attached to is what's really on our mind and our thoughts, not when we're go, 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 because that's like on the surface, right? We're adults. We are in our 30s, honey, and we run businesses. There's always like
It's always
a baseline of stress like on the surface, but it's more so about when you're in your quiet moments and you have those times of stillness, what's really on your mind then? What's on your spirit and what's heavy?
It's like yeah, so it's heavy.
Yes.
It's really heavy because it's
That
for
is
me.
heavy.
It's like sorting through all the
Mhm.
responsibilities, sorting
Mhm.
through all the things that I am actually receiving.
Yes.
Not that I'm like seeking these stressful,
Mhm.
it's just
Mhm.
it's a not really not knowing how to not sort it, but like
Yeah.
what to do with it.
Mhm.
Like
Mhm.
I wish I could just like take the thoughts, put it in a box, lock it up, then I can sort them out,
Mhm.
manually, but I can't
Mhm.
do that.
Wouldn't that just be the best thing ever?
Right?
If
Like,
only
I guess
adulthood
I
worked
can deal
like
with this
that.
today.
Exactly. Like, so we're going to take this out of the box. And
Right?
that works sometimes, right? Compartmentalization
Mhm.
is survival. However, don't forget to return to the box. That's what we
Mhm.
do a lot of times in life. We have to just keep going because there's always something else that we have to think through, something else we have to show up for. But what about going back and reflecting and saying, wait a minute, I need to go back and revisit this because I put it in a box. So maybe it's not spewing out in my everyday moment, in my everyday thought, but it's still there and I'm stiff.
Mhm.
So you know it's not gone away. So you have to purge it. You got to process it. You got to go and you got to open Pandora's box. You got to set aside some time to deal with that. If it's journaling, if it's sometimes you can even sing out how you feel. I
Mm.
could give you so much
Can you sing? I
science.
feel like your voice is very soft, like you can
Strangely
sing.
enough, I can. I don't really tell people
Okay. No,
because,
not even strangely enough. Like, you
yeah.
can like hear people talking, like, ooh, they can probably sing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not gonna make
I
you
guess.
sing. I
Please
promise.
don't. I'll be
I
like,
don't sing,
God.
but but it's one day.
That was a good pickup, though. You're very intuitive. I love this.
Yeah, no, seriously. And so
Like,
you said strangely enough, and I'm like, no, it's
really?
not strange at all to me.
I love that. I'm
Yeah.
like super giddy now.
Oh.
But yes, I would say one of the things, speaking of like voice, is being comforting. And this will take us down a whole rabbit hole. But as a woman, having a spirit of nurture and comforting goes a long way, not just for others, but also for ourselves.
Mhm.
But going back to the conversation that we were having before about this, just remember to purge. Remember to express, even dancing. Just dance in your room at the end of the day. This is my workout regimen. I dance my behind off. And it also helps me purge and release emotions. And you'll feel so much of that stiffness, especially if you're doing everything else. It will go away because it's not physical,
Yes.
it's in the mind.
No. Okay. So, like, let me tell you this. I guess it's just crazy that so full transparency. I think I
Yes.
purged last night,
Did you? This is
and I didn't
good.
even know to call it
Mm-hmm.
that. But I think sometimes you like that box overflows where you can't
Yes.
shut it anymore,
Yep.
and so you're gonna release in some way.
You are.
And it was a positive way. But I purged.
Good.
I literally was at home by
Yes.
myself, got on my knees,
Yes.
played music, and I literally like I'm a Jesus
Mhm.
worshiper. Love him.
Yes,
I
yes.
lift my hands. I cried out, "Thank
Yes.
you, thank you, thank you for whatever it
Mhm.
is that you're about to bless me with, because what I
That
know I'm
part.
dealing with." So I guess it makes sense, and I'm not gonna be like, "Oh my gosh, I can walk
Mhm.
now."
Yeah.
But I will say my shoulders aren't as tense as they were yesterday. They're still tense,
See?
but I didn't realize that that's what I was doing. But I was
Mhm.
forced to do it. So I
Yes.
think to stay ahead of the stress, the tension,
Mhm.
is to like, all right, you feel it building up,
Yep.
figure out a way to purge it. So I
Mhm.
like that.
Oh,
And
that's
yeah,
beautiful. I
wow. Now
love
that
that.
like when I tell like I'm not making this up, and I do have someone that can testify. Like I'm not
Yes.
doing this for just like match what you're saying,
Yeah.
but it literally happened for
That's
the first
insane.
time last night. Like I've
That's
never
beautiful.
got on my knees and
Mhm.
like just like, I mean, my dog was like,
you good? Like,
he was literally looking and I grabbed him. I'm like, come here, it's okay. But I know, like, for me, it's just like I started thinking about things, thinking about like life and reflecting, and you know, like you try and suppress certain things, but it's just like it's so much you can do to suppress things that you don't fully heal from. And I will say, like, grieving is one of those, like, I was thinking about my sister, you know, like my mom, like, dang, what are they, you know, it wasn't sad feelings. And like, I always like think like, oh, what would they do if they were here and they see like what I have going on, you know? And so that evoked like a new thing of emotions for me. And it wasn't like that I'm not healed from it. I don't think grieving never ends,
no,
you know?
it doesn't.
So for me, when I do those type of things, I start thinking about everything. So I was like, okay.
That's a
but I let it go, and
Yes.
I woke up, you know, because I was like, okay, my goal when I went home that night was to get this big thing project that I'm working on, get it done. I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. So because I couldn't do it, I felt stuck, and I just had to release and let it go. So that is nice that to know that I unintentionally purged. I'm excited about that.
That's why I'm like, when I'm like, there you go, it's that moment of relinquishing what you think you should be doing to that higher voice in yourself that's leading you to what you need to be doing. That's why I was like, you're on the right track, like with not doing the project, whatever that work thing was, because your top is bubbling over. And that's what happens in life. And it's not always that pretty, or it's not always at home. Sometimes you flip your lid.
Though, like, when I cried, it was ugly.
Oh, that's all. You can ugly cry, girl. Look, what you know is not pretty is like when you punch someone in the face outside.
That's true.
You can ugly cry at home. That's positive.
Okay, cool.
So like right, you let it out the right way. But it happens that way. We think that we can just sit the box to the side, sit it to the side, and at a certain point, what everyone's going to have to realize is we are all going to be forced to heal. What's beautiful is that as again, boho hippie, right? So in my boho hippie language and dialect, what we are really doing collectively is raising our vibrations. And I can go to the science of that another time because it's real science, not foo-foo science, it's just quantum physics, which is some of the hardest stuff to understand, but it's because we're conditioned to think about things in a completely backwards way. Other soapbox for another day. But I will say though, is that was beautiful because you were forced to heal and you took that moment to do so instead of resisting it. And that weight that will come off your shoulders, literally.
I mean, literally, like,
you can move your neck.
I can't do a 360, but I mean, I'm like when I tell like this, it's like my test. Like, all right, what thickness do I have right now? And that kind of tells me what I need to back off. And it sucks that it even gets to that place, but at least I'm aware.
That part is the awareness. Some people don't know what their own cues are. They don't know how to interpret their own body language. So they don't know what's a medical emergency, what's just urgent, or that they're not dying and they just need a nap or whatever it may be.
I was just talking about the nap thing on my page a couple of days, like, not days ago, a couple of weeks ago. Like,
it's like that.
All I needed was a nap.
Just a nap.
All I needed was a nap.
Girl, a nap and a snack will change your life. Like every time.
And like a little half a glass of wine.
All of that will do. I'm like, are you okay, Keila? And I'm like, let's run down the list. Are you hungry? And I'm like, I could use a snack. Check one. Do you need a nap?
Oh my gosh.
That sounds like a good idea.
Checklist.
Yes.
All right, so we're making checklists now. Okay, so mine says also about making checklists.
Yes.
Awesome. So, I was so me and my little creepy self. I was on your page.
Creepy. You are not creepy. Stop saying that.
Are you sure?
Yes. That makes me creepy too. We'll just be weird together.
Yeah, no, because you did something in a voice memo where you changed your voice. I was just like, I love it. You kind of got this, like, I don't know what it was.
My London accent.
Yes.
Girl, I will switch that on in a heartbeat. I don't know where it comes from. It's honestly entertaining myself. I remember one time, I was flying into London, into Heathrow. And when I got there, the flight attendant said, welcome home to London. Because I had been doing my little entertainment access with my girlfriend that was with me like the whole time. So they thought I was literally from London.
Wow.
I was like, okay, I got pretty good at this thing.
Oh my God. Yeah, you threw me off with it, but I was like, I'm here for it.
I do that to everybody.
I'm weird. Talk like that. No, when I tell you, this is why I love weird. Like, weird is good. So again, back to why I was creeping on your page.
Yeah.
You said something about like you zoom out or zooming out.
Ooh,
Please,
yes.
like, I want the people to hear exactly what you said. I don't even know if you remember what you said, but
I
I was like,
do.
ooh.
Yes, I do. I'm so glad like that you received that. I love getting feedback from these messages because it's like all the hard things, all the hard moments and things that I've been through in my life. I feel like the whole point of being a medical professional, and I put the air quotes because I feel like a lot of us miss the mark. And what I mean by that is we forget to be educators and you forget to be relatable. Thing that I learned in a textbook, in school, everything self-taught afterwards, CEUs, whatever you name it, that's all theory, right? When it comes to real life, that's real application. I'm an expert in what I do, and I say that with no ego attached, but still 1000% confidence. I'm an expert and proficient at what I do because I had to learn it for myself through own life application. It's not something that's just started and ended with a textbook. Page 10 said such and such and such. Yeah, there's that, but then also here was my experience and here's how I got through it. So now I can tell someone else.
Yes.
So,
About.
yes, that was the whole point. So, that whole zoom out thing, it has been such a gospel for me because what happens is we'll be in a situation and we'll feel all the feels of it, the stress, the anxiety, whatever it looks like. And we're caught in it's almost like a vortex, like a little tunnel, just spinning chaos. And until you're outside of that vortex of chaos, you cannot think clearly. And so what happens is you almost have to pretend like this is all a video game. And I don't have to take this seriously. Somewhere outside of this space and moment, money doesn't really exist. It's not real. We live in America. It's not real anywhere. We're playing with monopoly money since like 1971. We went off the gold standard, but whatever. I'm not going to go there. I'm not going to do it, Micah. So I'm going to leave it alone. So I say all that to say money, stress with family and relationships and friends and all those things. If we're able to zoom out and remove ourselves from that situation so we're not a participant, we're an observer of it. That's what I mean by that. When you zoom out, you see how minuscule your problems are because you realize you don't have to participate or be involved at a certain point. It's all a choice. And even if it's still a very real thing, when you zoom out, you can be more objective in how you approach it because you don't feel like you're being attacked.
Wow.
Yeah.
No, that is amazing. And I'm like, when you said video game, now in my mind, I have that visual, and I'm thinking of like, you have the little, I don't know, like say you're on your joystick and you're trying to turn around, but you can't, but on the other side is just like the door.
Yeah.
And so you wouldn't know that because you're literally in this little maze.
Exactly.
And I'm like trying to apply that to my life and like the hardest moments where I'm just like, why me? Like,
Sure.
I want to give up. I want to give up. But like now, I'm not going to say the 100% healed me, but this new version of me that can like reflect about those moments. I'm like, girl, like, why did you do all that? Like, why were you so dramatic? And but it's like I'm not saying that I regret my reactions and anything like that, but I'm appreciative of it because now I can like know how to maneuver those situations when they come or help the next person. Because that is again my favorite word. That's what fills me. Like, helping others with my testimonies, my mistakes, all those things. So I really love that perspective. I love that concept of zooming out, and I think you should continue to make these videos and to talk and to do all these like fun, quirky things that you do on your page. I think it just is really cool, because it makes you more relatable.
That's awesome.
And I think that's like what's important. Like before this was even filming, we were talking about social media and how everybody like has, oh, this is the goal, that's the goal. But it's just like, I don't want my social, I love social media because I love what it has done for other people through me. And I love that the entertainment aspect as well. But what I really appreciate about my social media is that like I don't have this like super serious aesthetic. Like I don't care how many posts I have. Some people try and clean it up. All right, let me make it like 2 posts. I'm so expensive.
Right. I'm like,
who cares?
Right,
Like, I
it's
have
not.
all 236 of my
Okay.
pictures up there just so you can, I mean, not so you can see, but it's like, it's a
Mhm.
reflection. And, you
That part.
know, I know some people, and it's not for everybody to do, you know, everybody can't handle people so much inserted in their life or what
Sure.
we project out there because they
Correct.
don't know, you know, like
Correct.
people assume like, oh, you posted something sad or you're
Mhm.
doing this and doing this is
Mhm.
how you feel.
Mhm.
Like I can post the funniest things
Mhm.
ever, but I am in
And
tears.
have like the worst day ever
Yes,
going on.
like this is just me and it's
Yeah.
not like a facade, it's not fake.
Mhm.
You know, but it's just
Mhm.
like people try so much to puzzle
Yes.
each other's lives instead of
Mhm.
focusing
Mhm.
on yours, you
That
know?
part. And that's
Um
what's so weird to me. And I think it's the look culture. Everyone's
mhm.
going for the look and they're forgetting to be themselves. And that's the coolest part because what I'm learning is with my whole mission to get people to elevate their mindset, right?
Mhm.
What I'm learning is in doing that because it's aligned as my real passion. And this is what people need to get and realize. When you align your passion with your bread and butter, even if it can't start that way in the beginning. I don't want people to think that in order to go for entrepreneurship and self expression through your professional self, you have to just cut everything off and stop your whatever 9 to 5 right now and just go for it. Make it make sense for you, but line it up in a way where they can meet and you're doing what you enjoy. It's so
Mhm.
cliche. We're like, do what you love and so on
Mhm.
and so forth, but really do that because once you're able to get that part underway, now you're able to move to that self expression moment where you don't really care
Yeah.
about how quirky you come across. You
Mhm.
don't really care about if it's a perfect presentation of
Mhm.
self. And what you're doing is you're instilling courageousness in other people to express
Good.
themselves that way. They're
Okay.
like, if she don't care, why should I? I mean,
Okay.
like, who am I? But
Exactly.
ultimately, it's like,
No.
here's your permission that you never needed, but that you didn't know that you didn't need.
Mm.
You can be all the things, do all the things, be all the things, say all the things. And you'll start seeing that people really rock with that. They're like, oh, that's just who she is. I know who that person is because people don't buy into a company, they buy into a person, a brand
Yes.
in that way. So when
That
I know
part.
who you are, I'm not just going to ride for you because of the services that you offer. I'm going to ride for you because I like you. I want to
Girl.
see you win.
Like I'm just
That.
so excited about this. This is so real. Like, cause I'm just
Yeah.
like thinking, you know, people are always like, you know, I work with a lot of people who want to start businesses in the
Mhm.
industry, and it's like, well, it's so many here, so many there, but like they aren't you, you
That is the
know.
key.
Like, I had a client like during COVID. Like, I love telling this story because it was like
Mhm.
in the beginning of my career of
Mhm.
being a nurse entrepreneur,
Mhm.
and we were doing drips back in Greensboro.
Yeah.
And so in Greensboro, it was like this person who, holistic doctor who was
Mhm.
like saying, hey, this nurse, like help
Mhm.
my peoples here in Charlotte. Like
Mhm.
they can probably help you too, you know, just pay that travel fee.
Okay. Okay.
but,
Important.
but they, you know, they can help you too. And so this
Yeah.
one particular couple that we did. I mean, it was an expensive travel fee for me to
Mhm.
go from Concord to Greensboro. They
Sure.
didn't care; they paid it, and so they, you know, and they felt so much better. They felt, you know,
Mhm.
immune system was boosted, and then it was like, you know,
Beautiful.
we want to do this again, but
Mhm.
it's like, you know, we just can't really afford you to come out here. So
Sure.
they ended up doing it with someone else in Greensboro.
Mhm.
Girl
Mhm.
called me back like a couple of days later. It's like, we just didn't really like our experience there. We'll pay the money for you to come. So
Shut
it's
up.
just like it's
I love
about
it.
you and what
Yes.
you bring to the table
Yes.
and your experience. Like everybody
Mhm.
is not you. Like
They
you got your
can't
own
be.
flavor, as my mentor would say. You have your own
Yes.
sauce, you know.
Yes.
So it's just like I love that. I love that you like really brought that to light. I think that is
Thank
super
you.
dope. So to kind of like come back, like just kind of summarizing this whole thing,
Sure.
you are so level headed, you know, and I know you're not perfect and I know you
Mhm.
have your moment, but like,
Yes.
how do you pull yourself out of those times where you're extremely stressed, your back is against
Mhm.
the wall? Because I know it's not always
Mhm.
like, all right, let me just take these deep
Go
breaths. You
right,
know, I
right.
know it's
With the
not that. And I'm not
smile.
like thinking that
No.
you're perfect or anything, but
No.
I do want to know, how do people like you,
Mhm.
that are very, I feel like you have like a nice little balance, of a temperament,
Mhm.
so far, unless you're just being really fake and I can't
Girl,
tell.
no, but I'm crazy
But
too.
yeah, true. That makes sense. That
You
makes
know,
sense.
balance.
Yeah, a little bit. Okay, well,
Just different flavors of crazy. That's all. Like, I'm not gonna slash your tires, but I very well may talk to myself.
no, that's not
You
bad.
know, it's just different
definitely
thoughts. It's
fun.
fun.
Yeah, no, yeah. Like, I'm about to talk too much, so I'm just gonna continue. So, how do you find? How do you reset?
Yes.
You know.
Honestly, one of the first things I start with is gratitude. Like if I'm really just livid in a moment and I'm like, pull back, of course, zoom out again. And I'm like, I don't want to be in this headspace because I make the decision to be joyous and to be happy. I want to be joyous. I want to be happy. So since that's my happy place, I'm like, how can I go back there? I'm in this space now and the world is doing something. Everybody's got me, you know what up.
You can curse. This podcast.
I can curse. Okay, everybody's got me effed up. And literally, I will say that out loud. I'll be like storming around the house. I'm like, everybody has me effed up today. I don't know what you guys are thinking, but you need to stop because I don't play that.
Look, yeah, I'm talking to you,
Yeah, I'm
sugar.
talking to you, exactly.
Yeah, I'm talking to you,
And
salt
talk,
dog.
yeah, all of y'all in here. And then I get this weird accent when I get really mad. I have like 10. I don't know.
You know, the more I'm talking to you, you're starting to remind me. What was that? What was that movie where the guy was a little girl sometimes?
What?
And he was his voice changed. Oh gosh, what's the name? It was like a Marvel movie because he was like actually like a superhero.
Wait a minute, but he was a little girl too.
Like in his voice, he could turn into a girl. He could turn into like Patricia. That's what he kept saying. Not sound crazy. It's like crazy.
And that's okay.
No,
but I don't know
when
this
we
movie.
leave, I'm gonna show you this
Please
movie.
do.
I can't remember the name. It's not like super old or super
I
new.
pray when you say it, it rings a bell.
Girl,
Right now,
like one minute he's like, "Stop talking, Patricia." Listen to that. And like when you said this, like talking to your
it sounds like
subway
that.
in your house. That just
Girl, yes. Like sometimes I'll be like Aqeila. It's like, who are you talking to? I'm like, me. Or it's like, okay, ma'am, what is it that is the problem? Like, it's either Aqeila, that means I'm in trouble, or I'm like, Keela. And it's like, who is
wait? So what is
to?
who is like? What is that one?
They're all okay. So I did name different aspects of my personality, not different personalities. This is different. This makes it non-clinical. Yeah, it's a facet. It's an
You're
angle.
aware.
Very aware. So in that moment.
Okay.
So I'm just like,
I didn't think we were gonna go to this. But I'm here for it because I want to know. I want to know the different personalities real quick.
Oh, seriously. Okay, so there's like my fashionista me. There's the super boho hippie chic like vibe. There's the super turned up. I think I'm a gangster. I don't know if that's actually true or not.
Until somebody tests it.
Exactly. And then I'm just like, I actually don't really want smoke. So then that just usually evaporates. What are the other aspects of my personality? Oh, I'm like an old lady in this body. I like to go to sleep by like 9:30-ish sometimes. I don't like a lot of noise all the time. There's a lot. We would literally have to like
profile. So I know like we're a little all over the place, but
it's okay.
Are you single?
You know what?
That was a nice. That was a nice like.
I got put on the spot.
Profile. That wasn't fair.
It was not fair. I have a thing going on. I have an exclusive situation, which is super new for me. Because before that, officially in a relationship, I think my last one ended in 2017. So I've been like to myself.
Love it.
You know, there's some like pseudo relationships.
I know. I should. I don't know. It's just something that made me like. I'm like she's giving like her personality, and you know, I think
you trying to set me up.
People want to know.
To set me up, Micah.
So you know, you're somewhat spoken for.
Yeah.
Okay. That's cute.
I got a little thing.
Just had to know. So no, that's really great. I'm loving to hear the professional side, the personality side. And that's what like this podcast is really about, like merging the two, making everybody that is in their professions, their careers, just feel normal. Just feel like relatable, just feeling regular. So I know we're starting to come to the end. I did want to know, like, what does your community look like? Because I will say, like, I know you have like your best friend, like she's amazing.
Yes,
But you do seem. I'm like, okay, she's little loner vibes in a sense. But I'm like, who is her community? And I know, you know, you have your network with the doctors. Could you talk a little bit more about that?
Sure, absolutely.
And I did not mean to call you a loner, but I'm just saying, like,
That's not
I
bad
can
though. It's
tell, like,
true.
you're selective.
I am, honestly, and that's not offensive to me because you're absolutely right. What I've learned, honestly, and this will partially answer the question you asked before, like, what does my mindset maintenance look like in a way, right? Like, how do I stay even kill? And, I'm gonna elaborate on that a little more and then go back into what you just asked me. So I remember even back in school, one of my colleagues came up to me, or classmate at that point. He was like, "How are you so happy all the time?" And again, it's a choice, but I talked about gratitude. That's one. Zooming out, two is another one. And then the other one that I think of is really just looking at not a problem. You say, I have a solution. What is it that requires a solution right now? And then two, being very savvy in business. What I've learned is also it's not about how. You'll ask yourself, how do I get this done? How do I accomplish this? It's who. And when you add the same amount of value at minimum that you request of someone else in your network, then they can help you solve your problems and you don't have to come up with them all on your own.
That is
Seriously.
very true.
And we don't do that often enough, especially in our community, in the Black community. I'm going to speak on it and be frank because we have this mentality of thinking that there's so much competition that we can't coexist. Whether that's personally, that's where that weird catty stuff comes out. No bueno, I don't like it. Um, we don't play those games on the side. We're happy people. And then the other side is that crab in the bucket mentality of thinking, okay, professionally, I have to be the only big fish in the pond. Well, guess what? There's a sea and an ocean, and there's multiples of those, and there's always going to be someone who's a bigger fish. But like you said earlier, no one can be you. So how does that translate now into like my network and what that looks like? So my squad, my tribe, my people. I believe in not being Aqeila in one sense and then being Dr. Shepherd in another sense. And it was really Micah this year that I really took that thought home. I said, I'm Dr. Aqeila Shepherd. It's all in one. Who I am personally is reflected in my professional self.
Yes, absolutely.
And that is where the good part comes in because all this whole corporate thing all the time, and especially even being a Black female physician, right? Like, I am the opposite of what you would expect a doctor to look like. I'm not a middle aged white male. I'm a Black female. I am also young. I'm also very savvy and what's the word I'm looking for? Sassy. That's the word I wanted to use. So I'm not going to present as normal. That's a superpower. So within my network, being relatable in that way and just presenting me, it allows me to meet people from all different walks where I've got my super, super core, which is my significant other, my man, my best friends, and that's small. And then outside of that, I've got my good friends. And then it's like a ring, like a band, right? And then outside of that, I've got friends. And then outside of that, I've got associates and colleagues. And they could be intertwined and mixed in at any level. And I think once you realize that there can be circles, and two, not to use the trauma of friendships and relationships that have gone bad in the past to then set the stage for what it looks like now. Because a lot of us, especially me being 34, I'm always like, or I used to be like, I don't know if I want new friends because I can't trust people, is how it will feel. You're friends with someone, then it goes south. You're like, that's a completely different person. Or what about those tender moments when you're vulnerable with them? When we're not friends anymore, are they now going to use that against me in some way? So we don't know how to preserve sisterhood or brotherhood or just friendhood in general. So I say all that to say I have my circle of people that honestly, Micah, I'm really blessed to have because not wanting to adopt that no new friends mindset and be so closed off is not the way that you live a fruitful life. Co creation, this is what makes life fruitful. You can sit at home and be in the dark and not be trusting enough to people to give them a chance. But you got to understand there's someone else with that same mindset. And so you guys just never meet and you never come together and you never do things. So my circle kind of looks like that, very diverse, but intermixing, and everyone knows Keela is Keela. At a certain point, you let me into the boardroom, meeting one, I'm gonna act like I have some good sense. meeting 1.5. By the time we're like 30 minutes in, we're like, oh, she's interesting. She's very different. Did she just say that?
Yeah, it was
she
that.
did. Yep.
I like that breakdown, especially like with like friendships. Like
Yeah.
everybody knows me. I am friends with a lot of people. I have a lot of new friends that old friends might like question, like, okay, like how are you friends with this person? How are you friends with that person? And I love the example you use with that kind of core circle, and then you have like, it just kind of spreads out and builds. And for me, like new people kind of come in a lot of times, and sometimes new people come in and get closer than older people. Older people might expand out, and I think it's totally a thing. Fine, and it's like okay. And I think sometimes like it can be complicated for other people to understand, like, that no new friend mentality, like, is really big for a lot of people. But for me, like, some of my deepest connections are with newer people. So with that being said, am I in the circle?
Yes, you are totally in the circle. I've been wanting us to hang out since like forever, but then you move.
Yeah.
But I come up here from time to time, and then you come down there. We'll like meet in the middle. Yes,
I know, and I'm like so sad that like our mutual friend, like, it's like also going. So it's just like,
move away. What are we gonna do?
Yeah, we're gonna make it work.
I'll be back up here in 2 weeks, and we're definitely gonna do something there for sure. Because it's a gospel, man.
Yeah, no, it's really. I mean, I don't know. When I have like a hunch or a feeling to like, okay, I need to be in the like room with this person just to have a conversation, like I'm gonna go for it. And I'm not like a person who's going to I don't know, just sit and wait. Like that's not me. Like
what's the point?
Yeah, even when it like comes to even men, like if I see something or somebody that I want, like I have no problem like telling you or writing that number on the neck, and like that's it's just like I'm gonna be straightforward. Like that's just me.
That's manifesting, Micah. Like that's a really powerful thing to keep in mind, because it's not just about waiting for something to come to you. I always tell people like, sure, shoot for the moon, shoot for Saturn, Pluto, or what have you, and it works, land in the stars. And so when it comes to like just saying this is what I want to make happen, do that thing and don't care about if it makes you seem a certain way forward or creepy, as you would say it. It's totally not. It's saying I have an energetic vibe with this person, and I want us to do something about that, because it's rare when you meet somebody and click. And it's the same thing. You're not creepy by yourself. I have always liked you, and I'm like, I want us to hang out, but then I'll be like, she's busy, I'm busy, I don't know when it's gonna happen, blah blah blah. But you have to make those things happen. And one thing I'll say, like, I guess my last little tidbit, something that you said that tipped me off was time. When you look at time from a non like constrictive perspective and you realize how expansive it is, you then also realize how irrelevant it can be. Meaning there are some friends that we will have for decades, right? But we grow, we change. Maybe we grow and change differently. And I can be friends with someone for 20 years, let's just say, right? But if today that person's vibrations don't match mine, I may meet someone today. Let's say you, for example, we've known each other since 2021. But say if I met you today and I vibe with you, you and I may end up being thick as thieves, just like this. And that other person I've outgrown, and they're like, well, how can you be so close with this new person? You just met them, you don't know them. And I'm like, first of all, I may not know everything about them, but I do know them to a certain degree because I know me. And I vibe with them for a reason because I know my vibe. Yeah. And that's where you can just close the chapter and shut all that shit down.
Oh, she cursed.
I cursed. I said a bad word. Well, I'm so turned up. Like, do not be fooled. I have my moments. People probably like, is that a man in that body and that shirt? Like, she curses like a sailor. Yeah. Depends on the moment.
Oh my gosh, I'm so weak. Like, I'm actually a horrible cursor. I'll put it in a text message, but like when I say it out loud, like I'm like, oof, I feel like a doofus.
Sometimes it feels like a little harsh.
It was not even harsh. I just don't get taken seriously when
you don't curse like, well. You like a little kitty cat.
Yeah. Basically, so to wrap it up, I love to know. I know we talked about how you reset, but how do you be well and exhale?
Oh yes, taking time for yourself to have stillness, not just sitting down and sitting on the couch and scrolling through Instagram. Not that that's always bad, because you can set your own algorithm on Instagram to see the things that you want to see. So on my timeline, I always see funny cat videos. super random, but it's a thing. So that's how I've said it. That's why I want to see. That's what entertains me if I look for it.
You can set your out, like you're saying, you can manually set your algorithm, or you're just saying like based off the stuff that you see. Okay,
exactly. So if you are always clicking on chaos, you're going to get more chaos. Like literally, Instagram uses an algorithm just like the universe uses an algorithm. We always hear law of attraction, right? What you show that you're interested in and that you're focused on, you will get more of. Exactly. It's that simple. So I do the same in life. Like my whole be well and exhale mindset is about in those moments where I create real stillness, where I'm just listening to some music and there's no television on, I'm not on Instagram, and I'm just like, how was your day? What did you do? Do a reflection, do a check in. Like, are you really good, or are there some boxes that you need to go back and open, even if it's not right now? At some point, go back and address that because it's triggering you underneath the surface and it's creating a current underneath the water. Or that becomes turbulence on the top. That's all choppy and crazy. Do something about that, and you discover those moments in your stillness check-ins, and that's my be well and excel.
I love that. No, that makes sense, and that also kind of piggybacks on last week's well, not last week's. Yeah, sounds so cool. Last week's episode. It was actually about 3 weeks ago. But she said her be well excel is no. Yours was stillness, and I just think like
the no's give you the opportunity to have stillness. Because if you are everywhere doing everything for everyone, you will have no time for that,
girl. Yes, I'm so curious what the next guest will say. I wonder if they're all going to intertwine.
Synergetic.
That is amazing. I'm so happy to have you on.
Thank you.
And I can't wait to see what's next. I mean, what is next? Like, can we get a sneak peek in what's next for Dr. Shepherd?
Totally get a sneak peek. It's honestly leaning into this EVP position with Black Doctors USA and International.
EVP, Executive Vice President.
Yep. Yes. And that position, I didn't even apply for it. It was just offered to me by the president, which to me, it speaks volumes because the whole thought is someone thought well enough of me to say, I want you to help with creating a community and a new paradigm shift within the Black medical community to say, this is a different way to look at it. I always tell people, I'm not going to tell you what to say, what to think, but here's a perspective to consider. So within that position, it gives me the ability now to be a connector. It gives me the ability to be an educator. And I actually had this prophesied over me by a patient when I worked at Regenerative Medical Institute in Greensboro back before COVID. And she told me, she said, you're not going to be practicing for much longer, not past 10 years. This was like my first year or second year in practice. I didn't want to hear that. And she was like, you're going to be an educator. And I'm thinking, I went to school 1,000,001 years. I could have shaved some of that off if I was just going to be educated. Why didn't y'all say something? Right. But she's like, you're going to be educating other doctors. And I remember I just looked at her so strange, and I didn't know what to do with that information at the moment. And I was just like, okay, I'll log it away. And now I'm doing that. I'm creating a space where I can say, as Black providers in medicine and healthcare, I can create this arena for us to thrive, where we can feel safe, where we can feel like someone else can relate to us, where we can have access to resources. There's so much money out here connecting us.
That's what I was going to say. You said something about they have grant opportunities.
Oh gosh,
it's just only for doctors or, but y'all just basically being in this community, you do get like the insight and the depth. So that's amazing.
Absolutely.
I'm excited. Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, it's big, man. I can't even lie. It's exciting.
Yeah.
Because it's massive impact. Private practice is great, but I've only got this pool of people that I can affect. But when it's more on a level like this, where I have a whole network that I can affect, now it's not just the providers which are providing the care for everyone else, but I can also, through the message and how I construct those conversations, affect the masses. And now taking us global into, or we were already a little bit global, but deeper into global territories. Right. I'm so excited about that. Now I'm like, oh, I got global reach. So I got like tentacles, like they're like stretching out. I'm like, I'm everywhere. I'm omnipresent. I know, right? That is not a good visual, but yes. I'm like,
I know. I could have said At least I didn't say Ursula.
I said tentacles. There was nothing cute that could come of that.
I know. I was like, think of cute. No, mermaids don't have tentacles. Well, I am like, again, so thrilled that we got to have these conversations. Yes. It definitely didn't really even go in the direction I envisioned, but I'm so glad it happened. I'm so glad you're here, and hopefully we can have you back again at some point, because we have a lot of things to unpack.
Seriously, so much.
And I just want to thank you.
Thank you. Me too.
I'm gonna air hug you because I don't want our microphone to like.
I thought about that. I was like, is it gonna be awkward? Yeah. So I'm gonna hug you off camera.
All right. Well, thank you so much. That is our episode of Be Well and Exhale. I hope your business continues to blossom and you continue to grow in your industry, in your field, and dominate. Okay,
that part.
Because we're in the world.
Okay,
girls. You said that, girls.
Oh, I was like, okay. Look, in my mind, I was like,
I'm just like beehive all the way every day.
Girls, but I'm sorry, I so messed that up. You want to start again? You want to do it again?
We don't.
I'm on point.
Okay.
No,
I think this is cool that you messed it up, because this just continues to make this more organic. On that note,
and
thank you so much, Be Well Besties, for tuning in to our second episode. This was amazing conversation. Like, I wish we could talk forever, but no one wants to listen to a 2-hour podcast. So thank you so much again, Dr. Shepherd, for coming. You guys go out and support. Go follow her. What are your handles and your website?
Yes. So ask.drsheppherd. That's my Instagram handle. That's my main social media that I use. So ask.drsheppherd. And my website is www.luxmedconcierge.com. I'm pretty sure that'll be in the notes. I don't have to spell that out.
You don't have to, but for those who are listening, maybe they can kind of either way, we'll have it. But I just want to thank you guys so much for tuning in, and I'm excited for the next episode. But thank you for tuning in to Mastering Mindset with Dr. Aqeila Shepherd.